I'm Emily from the Get Offset podcast, and I'm going to talk about my new old guitar, this here Alamo Fiesta, that I picked up on Instagram. Steve Selvage from The Hold Steady saw it, and I guess it reminded him of my TunaTone guitar, and I can see why. Let me grab that one really quickly and do a little side-by-side for you all. Whoop. So, I can see why he was reminded of it. This is a true pink. This used to be, I assume, a Fiesta red type color. To me, this Fiesta looks like the TunaTone melted and then refroze in a weird way. They weigh about the same. That's to say about 5 pounds. The pick guards are reminiscent of each other in my eyes, but there's obviously a lot of differences. I don't want to compare these two guitars. I don't want to compare a guitar I picked up for $325 versus a handcrafted instrument by a wonderful luthier in Canada. That's a weird thing to do. But just pointing out the aesthetics and the similarities in Broadway, I think are fair. It's funny to think that this is an old Japanese cheapy guitar, which is what Layla has always told me she was largely inspired by in terms of design for her teeny tuna. Drop that back up there. Alright, so let's talk about this thing. As already mentioned, 5 pounds. Very lightweight guitar. Neck shape, kind of a D, I would say. Pretty comfortable. Haven't measured the nut width, but it feels narrow enough to make me happy. 2 single coil pickups that I'll do a little bit of playing through. Pickup selector that seems to vaguely work. Volume and tone controls, which also seem to vaguely work. I mean, they're functional, but there's just not. It's pretty. It feels a little bit on and off for the volume, and a little bright and mellow for the tone, and not a lot of in between. There are some interesting things about this guitar. What do I want to talk about first? I guess I want to talk about the nut is not quite even, which I think is a pretty simple fix. I'll put up some pictures and B-roll and stuff. Yes, so it's much closer to the top than the bottom and is actually, frankly, a little odd. The tuning machines sort of work. The B, I can't turn with the left hand as easily. It's a little stuck. The bridge is interesting. It looks like I can be compensated for height by just sort of turning your fingers there. But I haven't really gotten that to work for actual compensation or changing of the height. Not a big deal. That's not something I do a lot of, and this is probably not a guitar I'm going to be playing high up on the neck with. The most interesting thing to me about this weirdo is that the saddle is just a piece of wood that's been set at a bit of an angle. Not dissimilar to some acoustic bridges, I suppose, tail saddles. But there are not any notches cut into it at all. It's sort of like a 0 fret for your bridge and saddle area. Really, really interesting. But I think it's a fun guitar. I'm going to play a little bit out of it in a minute here. I think it sounds pretty awful without distortion, so I'm going to make sure to include plenty of that. I'm going to play it through my entire pedal board setup. That is a Gale going into Spruce Effects Gale, going into the Dwarfcraft Grazer, going into the Generation Loss by Chase Bliss and Cooper FX, going into the Delayvid Foster Wallace by Bookworm Effects, and then the amp I'll be using is Milkman The Amp. Alright, thanks for watching.